What is going on, everybody? Welcome to All About the Birds Weekly Report here on the AAT Sports Network. I am Chip at Chip for the Birds, joined by Johnny U at Johnny U9322 and Mike Bauer at Rewind CEO. Adam, hello once again. Yes, for those of you that were just on the network, I was on making my predictions with the wife. This is show number 2 of the evening here at the network. And of course, it's the Wednesday night All About the Birds Weekly Report. And as we've been doing all season, we have brought on somebody who knows something, a thing or two about our opponent for the week. So this week we are playing the Dora the Explorer may only know where they are on the map, Chargers. We are joined tonight by Gavino Borquez at Gavino Borquez, managing editor for the Chargers Wire and writer for the Draft Wire at USA Today Sports Media Group. What is going on, my friend?
Not a whole lot over here in Phoenix, Arizona. It's starting to cool down.
All right,
so.
Phoenix. Okay.
I'm enjoying
Is that where the Chargers play now? Are they playing in Phoenix?
You're telling me.
Where are these Chargers?
Your guess is as good as mine.
So yeah, basically, as we've been doing every single week, you're going to give us a rundown, and all of our listeners and our fans and our peoples a little rundown of the Chargers, because AFC, NFC matchup here, we don't know a whole lot. So you got to share some things and maybe get some questions thrown your way, and we'll get it popping. So my first question for you, my good friend, is what's up with Justin Herbert? Because my man looked like he was about to be a breakout star even last season. And beginning of the season, he looked pretty good. He's been struggling a little bit. What's happening out there in Los Angeles?
Yeah, so the first 5 games, it looked like he was on a sophomore surge, but now it looks like he's on a sophomore slump the past 2 games. And again, he's going up against 2 good opponents in the Ravens and the Patriots. And there's a few things that just factor into it. Play calling, the right side of the offensive line, his wide receivers dropping passes, but also him struggling in his own. So the post-snap coverage processing, it seems like that's been an issue as of late too. All these things could be factoring into that as well. But with these past 2 games, he's not been at his best. And if you think of last year when they played the Patriots and they got shut out by the score of 45-0. Bill Belichick held him to his worst performance of his career, and then they play him again this past weekend, and it looked exactly like last year's performance. So, again, you're playing 2 really good defenses that know how to get after Herbert, applying pressure and disguising some coverages, and it showed. And now it looks like he's more on a sophomore slump. And heading into this weekend against the Eagles, he could definitely turn it around. But it seems like opposing defensive coordinators know how to really disrupt him, and it's showing. It's kind of concerning from a Chargers fan perspective.
So you kind of gave kind of what the state of the Chargers are with a little bit of that. But let's talk a little bit about the right side of that offensive line. Storm Norton is the right tackle. He's been struggling, if you could say a little bit. He's struggling a lot. What do you feel that with him on that side, because Brian Bulaga is still injured, I'm not sure what his timetable is to come back, but on that right side of the line, how concerned are the Chargers with that, with these teams that are coming in to have some good pass rushers on the edge he has to go up against?
It's concerning for sure, because it's not just Brian Bulaga. Their starting right guard going to the season, Ode Ibushi, is also hurt. So he is done for the season. He tore his ACL. And again, with Ode Ibushi on that right side, it kind of helped mitigate the issues that Storm Norton had early on. So that's why it wasn't really an issue. But now that Michael Schofield is in at right guard, and Michael Schofield, he played with the Chargers, but he's not really much of a proven starter. It's hurt them in that aspect. So teams are getting after that side in specific with blitzes, twists, and stunts, and it's showing. And Herbert has very little time to throw the ball. And again, it's come up these past 2 games because that's when Schofield really took over that starting role in that guard spot.
I got one for you right here. We're looking at these teams. We're 3-5. You guys are 4-3, I think, right?
Yep.
Correct. Is this more of a win-now game for you guys or for us? I mean, we're finally starting to get momentum. I feel like the Raiders game would have been a lot different had Miles Sanders not gotten hurt. We just completely annihilated the Lions. Poor Lions, prayers up. But I don't think we anticipate this team going anywhere this year. Whereas you guys, the division's kind of up in the air. The Raiders are currently leading it, but Kansas City has not looked like themselves. And I think the Denver Broncos are one of the most fraudulent teams in the NFL, starting out, 3-0, something like that. We all knew, like Teddy Bridgewater, he ain't it. Drew Lock's not it. So could you say that the pressure is really on for you guys right now, as opposed to us where, hey, win would be great, but we just want to see some competitive football again?
Yeah, 100%. Because again, within the first 5 games, they're being viewed as these contenders, and now they're kind of on the verge of that pretender status. And when you look at the AFC West, you have the Raiders, who are currently 5-2, I believe. But again, they're dealing with they dealt with the head coach situation. It seemed like they did fine with that, but now they have the issue with Henry Ruggs, with him no longer being part of the team, and you got to think that that's going to start to affect the team a little bit. And then you have the Chiefs, who appear to be like on a downward spiral, if you want to call it that. But again, they have their issues in their own. And then the Broncos, again, like you said, they're one of the most fraudulent teams in the league. So the Chargers can definitely get back on track, or they need to get back on track, I should say, because again, if they win this game, they're 5-3. Again, they're still in the playoff contention. Like currently, they hold the 7th seed. But if they're going to lose the game to the Eagles, that's definitely concerning for sure, because following this weekend, they have the Vikings, who, again, they can give the Chargers problems, and now the Steelers, who are seem to be on the rise as well. So this is kind of a must-win situation for them, because, again, if they lose this one, that's the last 3 that they lost. So, and then we start to draw some questions of, like, the personnel, the coaching, what's going on with this team. So they have one of the easiest schedules remaining in the NFL, and it started this past weekend against New England. They couldn't win that. If they can't beat the Eagles, then you're starting to draw some questions.
Can I just follow that up real quick? Do you think that possibly at this point in the schedule, do you think we could be a trap game for you guys? Obviously we haven't been playing well, just came off that win, but people might be saying, well, it was the Lions. Could that be a situation where the Chargers potentially lose because they're looking ahead past us?
100%, because even myself, I thought we were going to beat the Patriots playing a rookie quarterback. Yeah, and I know that Bill Belichick, he can get the better of any quarterback that he plays. But I thought we were going to beat the Patriots, and now I'm kind of worried about the Eagles, especially seeing the pass rush that you guys present, and the running game that seems like it's definitely gotten going the past few weeks.
So it's interesting that you mention the running game, because we would actually in Philadelphia disagree, because we've almost ignored the run entirely up until about last week, when all of a sudden it was discovered, when our best running back was hurt, that we should run the ball. And it worked great for us. But the Chargers have seemed to struggle a lot against the run this season. You're averaging almost 160 yards per game on the ground. Do you think that is a weak point that Philly can exploit? And is Bosa the key to stopping that, or is there another player that really needs to step up to change that number back the way it should be?
Yeah, so Bosa, again, he's one of the better edge defenders in the league at defending the run, setting the edge, but he actually hasn't been able to, because he's been double and triple team as of late. The interior defensive line, they just don't have the talent to hold their own at the point of attack. And then as far as the second and third levels, they struggle with missed tackles. And when you have guys like Derwin James in the back end of the defense, he can only do so much. Again, he's going to be all over the field. He's done that. It's good that he stayed healthy. But again, when you have guys that have struggled at doing so, you can only do so much when you have all these holes created. You're having these defenders rally to the football. And again, you're really pointing those fingers at the interior part of the defensive line, because the way that Brandon Staley's defense is set up is that it's predicated on limiting the explosive plays, which he's done a great job of. But again, that requires lighter boxes. So when you have a 3-man front and you have 2 edge defenders, again, you're looking at not as much talent like someone like some of these other linebacker corps who do a good job at defending the run. The Chargers, they have that in Kaiser White and Drew Tranquil, but again, they can only do so much because they're tasked with other responsibilities. And then when you have primarily defensive backs, that doesn't really help. And when you have your front getting straight up just gashed off the line of scrimmage, it's just a recipe for disaster. And that's definitely showed.
I think that, a good point there, because you talk about the middle of that defense. Kenneth Murray has been injured, and they're missing some pieces. Asante Samuel's in concussion protocol still, and Michael Davis left with an injury as well. So, they're a little bit banged up in terms of, the defensive, and, Kaiser White and Drew Tranquil, like, they're good, really good players. But I think with their run defense, a lot of it has to do with the size, with the injuries happening, but also the size. Because I know Kaiser White's 220, 216, 220-ish area.
Yeah.
They don't have the, the big bodies in the middle of that defense. And then when you have to rely on secondary to try to, make a lot of plays, it's never good. But they did get Justin Jones back. It just feels that their defense has struggled. It's just they're not. I just don't know if is it an injury thing, or is it just the defense itself is just learning a new system?
Yeah, it's the personnel. It's definitely learning the new system because, again, a lot of these guys, they came over from Gus Bradley's system. So a guy like Linval Joseph, he's actually been one of the more underrated players on this team because of like the stuff that he does that goes unseen. But at the same time, like, he's been more so spotty. So he's had his plays on the line of scrimmage, and then he'll completely get washed out of plays. And then you have other guys like Jerry Tillery, who, again, coming out of Notre Dame, he was drafted to kind of give the Chargers that pass rush presence, and that's what he's done. He's done a great job getting after the quarterback, but he just doesn't have the strength and the physicality to hold his own against single and then double team blockers.
I'm curious about your depth chart here. I was just kind of going over some stats because, I'm thinking about the weakness of the middle of our defense. Obviously, Eric Wilson was waived, and we'll talk about that later. So that makes our defense. It's funny how addition by subtraction there. Our defense gets better because Eric Wilson isn't here. But Alex Singleton really underachieving this year for us. I still think there's a softness in the middle of our defense. But after Austin Eckler, who are we looking at? Is it Justin Jackson? I don't think it's Joshua Kelly. He seems to have fallen out of favor. Or is it Larry Roundtree? Like, who do we have to worry about spelling Austin Eckler this week?
So after a big 75-yard carry this past weekend against the Patriots, it's clear that Justin Jackson is the second best running back, RB2 on the depth chart. But again, it's just a matter of him staying healthy. Because if you've seen him play in the past few seasons, when you've seen him play, I should say, he's productive. He has carries, he has flashes like he did this past weekend. But it's just a matter if and when he can stay healthy, because beyond that, Joshua Kelly, he hasn't done much since being drafted last year, and then Larry Roundtree hasn't done much in his opportunities either. So it's just been Austin Eckler for the most part, and then just as of late, Justin Jackson. But of course, he shines a little bit, and then he goes down with an injury, and it's a quadriceps injury. So the lower body injuries have seemed to bother him since being drafted a few years back. And now, you really can't rely on someone, because coming into that game, Austin Eckler even said that someone needs to step into that role. So I think Justin Jackson heard him loud and clear. He busted off for that 75-yard carry. And now, again, you're looking at a hurt Justin Jackson. So it's like, okay, now what? So they're probably just going to go back to not really running the ball as much, giving Austin Eckler his workload, splitting it between Joshua Kelly and Larry Roundtree, seeing what they can do, and then just primarily resorting to the pass.
Okay. So one thing that I am, as an Eagles fan, always worried about is anytime there is a tight end who has the ability to find the football field, they don't have to be any good going into the game. So you guys right now, your starting tight end is Jared Cook, who's been in the league forever. I mean, he came into the league in 2009. He's played for a variety of teams, but this is his first year with the Chargers. How has it been with Justin Herbert? Have they found that connection that is so important for a quarterback and a tight end?
Yeah, Justin Herbert's targeted Jared Cook a fair amount, especially before. Well, I shouldn't say especially before. He targeted him quite a bit against the Ravens, and again with Joe Lombardi's offense being matchup based, he looked to him early and often, and they just didn't really seem to be able to link up. The same thing with Mike Williams in that game, so he's looked his way quite a bit. And with them, I mean, they've either been spot on. Jared Cook has dropped some passes, or they've just been off the mark. So Jared Cook isn't having the same kind of production that he did with the Saints or with the Raiders when he made the Pro Bowl that one year. But he's definitely had his looks. Then beyond that, you have Donald Parham, he's a 6'8" tight end. Does a lot of good work down the seam, and then in the red zone. We've seen flashes of that, but just not as consistent because Parham has been taking on more of a blocking role as well. And then when you go even beyond that, you have Steven Anderson, who has been more of like the inline blocker. He's come out of the backfield in that H-back role. And then you have Trey McKitty, who was just barely active for the first time against the Patriots. So it's kind of clear with the tight ends that you don't have like a lot of production. You know, Jared Cook's the clear-cut number one, and Donald Parham should get more looks. And, you know, one of the issues earlier this season was the red zone production. And I mentioned that getting him more involved should be like a priority. And they did that against the Raiders. I believe he had a touchdown. And then another game, he scored as well. So he has 2 or 3 touchdowns on the year, I believe. But again, he just hasn't been utilized as much the past 2 weeks because, again, they're putting him with more blocking duties because of that right side of the offensive line being an issue.
So before we get, predictions and stuff like that, I did see that Justin Herbert was on the injury report with a hand injury. Can you give us any information with that?
Yeah, so the same thing happened against the Chiefs earlier in the year. With his follow-through, he hit a defender or an offensive lineman's helmet. And I watched the clip because I remember watching it live too. And it was like about 1:28 left in the game. And it was a pass, and just following through, he either hit it on his own offensive lineman or a defender that was getting pressure, their helmet or shoulder pads, but he was kind of shaking it off a little bit. I don't know how much it's bothering him. Again, he was limited at practice. So with a guy like Justin Herbert being on the injury report and being limited, it's definitely going to raise some eyebrows a little bit, but it's something that we'll be monitoring the rest of the week. But I doubt it, like that he would actually sit. Because again, if he was out of practice, then that's something to definitely be more concerned about. But for the most part, it was that's when it happened. But it's completely different than what it was against the Chiefs.
Wait, so since we're talking about quarterbacks, I have to ask the question. Both teams have a backup quarterback worth discussing. Mike, I already see you smiling there. In a pinch, who is the better backup quarterback on the field? Because it's Philadelphia, so we have to ask backup quarterback questions. Is it Philadelphia's own Gardner, the mustache Minshew, or is it the Chargers' Chase? I can't believe the amount of money I've made in the NFL, Daniel.
Neither. It's Easton Stick.
Oh, come on. I just want to let you guys know that right now, Gardner Minshew has a higher quarterback rating than Jalen Hurts.
Oh, man.
Jesus. I mean, you're also forgetting about our third string, which is what's the dude's name?
Reed Sinnett from San Diego.
Reed Sinnett. So if we're going by just names, I feel like Easton Stick is going to be the winner.
Hey, listen,
but we're Gardners out here. Oh God. So anyway, who's the better backup quarterback on Sunday?
Gardner Minshew.
I don't know, man. Chase Daniel, former Eagle.
Yeah.
He's won a Super Bowl or something.
He was brought in for that mentorship role for Herbert, but if you put him on the field, I'm just.
Who is he mentoring?
Well, now hold on. When Chase Daniel played for the Bears a couple years ago, when Trubisky got hurt, he didn't play too bad. To be fair, So
I mean, he knows the offense. So again, you got to give that to him. He's very familiar with that Lombardi offense. But if we want some pure excitement, then throw Easton Stick in there and
there it
see what
is.
he's got, because everyone's been waiting
This
for
is
him
a great
to get
name.
this time. Yeah,
It's a great name.
North Dakota State legend right there.
I know Johnny was just leaning in to drop his college statistics and his GPA and his favorite thing to order going through the hotline. But Gavino beat you to it. Oh my gosh.
I thought that's where you're going. I didn't even think you were going to bother asking about Chase Daniel. I thought you were going to cut straight to the chase and say,
well, again,
Easton
we're a
Stick.
Philadelphia Eagles based podcast, so we had to bring up Chase Daniel,
Yeah.
our very favorite that we've hated for pretty much all of time since he. I don't understand how that guy has made the amount of money that he has made. It is absolutely absurd. But I guess it's because I guess it's people like Mike over there. They're like, oh yeah, well he played decently for the Bears that one time in the cold.
I'm just saying he did.
Speaking of the cold, Julio over here in comment land is saying that the Chargers are not ready for the cold. Is there a concern floating around in sunny LA about coming into the Philly temperature city?
Well, we haven't had a cold game yet. So as far as the conditions go, you could say so, especially with something like a hand issue bothering Justin Herbert. It could. I don't think you're going to go full on Phillip Rivers and put on some gloves on those hands, but we're getting to that time of year where the temperatures are starting to drop a little bit. But yeah, I didn't even think of that. I didn't think of the conditions. Do you know how cold it's going to be on Sunday?
The forecast is like 56 degrees.
Okay. So we're not there yet.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that.
Mike, we were trying to make him fearful.
Well, he's not playing.
Someone
so
that
what are
lives
we
in
gonna do?
Well, he's not playing, so.
Remember, it is a 4:00 game now.
So the weather.
That's
when the lights go down in the
true.
city.
You know what? That is kind of weird. Why are they having it be a later game?
Because my guess is to acclimate your fan base because it's an East Coast West Coast game.
That's fine. I love
Yes.
4:00 games. They're my favorite.
But they also
I
turn
hate
the
them.
clock. We also turn the clock back, so it's weird because
That's
it gets dark a
right.
lot earlier too. So it's just a whole bunch of chaos.
So you guys
over
are
here, it's
dealing
2
with time
o'clock.
zones and Ben Franklin.
Yep.
Good stuff. So we're getting to a point now in the show where we have to put you on the spot here. So we need from you your official prediction for the game, maybe a breakout player or so. And then we also do a segment on here called Uleka Lock, because named after Johnny, he's 2 below me there, where you tell me something that's going to happen in the NFL this week. It could be any game, any player, anything. But it's got to be a lock. It's going to happen. So a prediction, a score, maybe a key player, and a Uleka Lock.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Chargers 24-21. I think that they finally break this losing streak. It's not going to be pretty. I don't think Herbert's going to have the type of game that you're looking for. I don't think he's going to have a breakthrough game, so it's going to be some weird events. I think we're going to force a fumble. I think Jalen Hurts is going to throw a pick at some point. So
We have to let him throw the ball.
yeah, if he throws the ball. So Shane Steichen might show like what kind of passing offense you guys have. I kind of miss Shane Steichen, honestly, just seeing what Joe Lombardi's done.
I was going to ask about that. How do we have a couple of I keep wanting to say San Diego. We have a couple Bolt cast-offs. Do you prefer Steichen? Do you prefer who you have now? I mean, talk a little bit about the coaches real quick, and then we'll get back to your picks and such.
Yeah, no, I do prefer Shane Steichen because I know people will resort to like the running game, but again, you got to think that Anthony Lynn was the head coach too. Mm-hmm. Anthony Lynn's a former running backs coach. He loves to play that ground attack game. With Shane Steichen, again, look at the numbers that Herbert was able to put up with him. So even with like that offensive line, absolutely awful, and he was able to draw up plays where he's getting him, more so involved in that play action, moving pockets. So, and then just being able to get like these wide receivers down the field. And now, I mean, you look at personnel, like they don't have the Tyron Johnson, who surprisingly they let go of. I get it because of a special teams thing, but again, he was able to take more shots down the field, and it seemed like Steichen kind of put him in position to succeed, that was able to tailor to his strengths. Why he's not in with the Chargers, I get it again because they wanted a clean slate. Staley brought in someone who he's familiar with in Lombardi, and again, I just personally miss Steichen. Just given it seemed like he put Herbert in more of a position to succeed with his offense.
Yeah. So you've picked the Chargers. Give me a key player and then a Uleka lock. So a key and a lock.
Yeah. So a key player, I'm gonna go with Storm Norton because that Josh Sweat Storm Norton matchup kind of has me sweating a little bit. I see how well Josh Sweat's been playing. Good for him because I liked him a lot coming out of Florida State. So it was about time that he was due to actually break out in a big way. It's clear that he's one of your best pass rushers on the team, just defensive lineman in general. For that reason, Storm Norton's a key player because if he can't hold his own against Sweat or for not getting any protection, that could be a disaster right there waiting to happen.
Yeah. And then something that's going to happen in the NFL this weekend. It could be a specific statistic. It could be a specific games, but something that is a lock.
Jordan Love's going to outduel Patrick Mahomes.
Whoa!
Ooh, I love it. I love
my.
it.
Oh,
It could happen, man. It could really happen.
Well,
yes, and we're going to be talking about, the storylines are going to be what the future is going to look like in Green Bay after Jordan Love plays this weekend. So, I can just see it. I can just see it waiting, to happen next week. And everyone's going to be talking about Jordan Love. And, I know he hasn't looked great in preseason action, but I think
he is not. No.
But I think somehow, aren't they supposed to be getting Devontae Adams back?
I believe so.
I think it's on the fence about. He's on the injury
fence.
report. We're not quite 100% sure.
Yeah, now that Rodgers is out, I wouldn't be surprised if Devontae Adams I'll stay out too. But I'm
gonna sit this one out.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit this one out. I think Jordan Love's gonna outduel Patrick Mahomes, and the Packers are gonna beat the Chiefs this weekend.
All right.
Good stuff.
That's great. So again, Gavino, man, we want to thank you for coming on tonight, giving us a little insight on the Chargers. Is there anything you want to promote, talk about what you do a little bit before we send you on your way? What is it, around dinner time there?
Yeah, 6:45.
Oh my
So
God.
it's dinner time over here. I know it's bedtime over there for you guys, probably, if you're all on the East Coast.
We are on the East Coast.
So yeah, all of my content can be found at the Chargers Wire. That's where I'm primarily writing right now. As we get later into the months, I write for the Draft Wire. I do an annual draft guide for the Chargers Wire, kind of focusing on player needs, just highlighting what they would bring to the team as opposed to a general overview. But as far as Draft Wire, it's just general scouting reports, rankings, just that all that fun stuff. So, but for now, in-season stuff, the Chargers Wire is where you can find me, and then my Twitter is at Gavino Borquez. No spaces, none of that, no hyphens. So
He went no spaces, no hyphens.
no hyphens.
None of it.
Yeah, just
None of
Gavino Borquez. I know it's not the easiest name to pronounce or spell, but obviously I'll be tagged in this. So yeah, you can find me in all my content.
Yeah, you're definitely tagged in this, so you're all over it. And again, man, we really want to appreciate you spending some time this evening, talking some Eagles Chargers, and we're gonna say go Birds as we send you on your way, but
pretty nervous for this game.
What's that?
I say I'm pretty nervous for this game, honestly, with how the Chargers have been playing. Yeah,
that's a good feeling as an Eagles fan.
Yeah, very good feeling.
That's a good feeling as an Eagles fan because we don't have that same level of confidence. But again, man, thank you for joining us, and we'll be in touch as we go against you this weekend.
Yes, thank you so much, you
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you.
So that was very, very informative. I appreciate that. I enjoyed that.
No, it was very good.
I also enjoyed the fact that there is a fear playing the Eagles now. It must be because of how badly we beat the Lions. So we got a lot to break down here. Mike, initial thoughts from what Gavino was saying.
I agree that it's nice that there's the fear factor there, but are they nervous because they don't want to be laughed at if they lose? What is it like? I don't know. I'm so up and down on this team this year, and they've been up and down on me too. You know what I mean? they win week 1, kind of like they did last week, and all we heard was yeah, but. And then they did the same thing this week, and now we're hearing again, yeah, but. Yeah, but it was the Falcons. Yeah, but it's the Lions. It's like, yeah, but you beat an NFL football team. And I'm actually
Hold on. I don't know if you can call the Lions an NFL football team. They would struggle to be in the top 25 of college football. They are a garbage franchise.
Yeah, but did you watch them play against the Ravens? You watched them play against the Vikings, the Packers.
Sure, there's some fight in them.
The Rams.
There's some fight in them.
There was no fighting. The Eagles just literally spanked them around on Sunday for 4 quarters.
Remember, we said they planted them.
Okay.
What makes me happy, they adjusted. The defense adjusted.
Big time.
In the pregame, I was talking about how they don't disrupt routes. Yep. And Johnny, what was one of the first things that we saw? A route disruption when the ball was in the air.
Exactly.
And it was great. They ran the ball. I'm sure Miles Sanders was sitting at home watching the game like,
well, he did.
No, he texted the coach and said, "Thanks, coach, you did such a great job. We really appreciate you running the ball. It was such a good idea."
Yeah. They adjusted. I'm happy about it.
I like, 10 blitzes. That's what they did. They blitzed 10 times. And we talked about it when Eric Wilson was inactive and you got to see TJ Edwards, Davion Taylor. You saw that, they use Alex Singleton to blitz, which I feel is a strength of his. If they can use him to be aggressive in the way of blitzing, I think that can help as well. And of course, limiting his snaps, playing more on special teams, limiting his snaps to about 30%. I feel that's great. But also, did you guys notice? And I noticed it right away, and I loved it. You see Rodney McLeod coming down in the box. You're seeing the safeties move. You're not seeing this two real high deep. Now, I know because Detroit has really no playmakers except for Hawkinson and Swift. But I think there's a lot you can build from this game defensively and what they did. And I'm not even talking about offensively because that's a whole nother topic, we're going to get into as well and what they can do this week. But what they did defensively, I really like because you saw, like Mike said, you saw the adjustments. And it's definitely something that they needed to do because
for sure.
Right now you're playing Justin Herbert. He's struggled. You take what Bill Belichick, you take what the last, what the Ravens did. You try and use a little bit of that film. You try and use a little bit of what they did to try to use it against Justin Herbert, to confuse him, to make him throw interceptions, to make him. And I feel like the Eagles need to do that. Stop being passive. Be more aggressive.
Can I talk about TJ Edwards for a minute?
Go ahead.
Yes, you may.
I've been a TJ Edwards fan since he came into the league. He was UDFA out of Wisconsin. Probably if he was like an inch or two taller, would have been drafted, I would imagine. Just slightly undersized, 6'1", but he has been maligned for his lack of production defending the pass. I think it's kind of a lie. I think he has shown. Now, I'm not saying that he is the answer to all of our linebacker problems. I'm not going to say that. But he's our short-term solution for our middle linebacker position.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the trade deadline's over. And, please, ESPN, stop hyping up the trade deadline in the NFL. This is not baseball. This is not hockey. The NFL just doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? But
there were some moves, though. But there were some moves. Like the Von Miller move I thought was a big move.
I'll tell you what, man. The Rams are going for it.
The Rams needed to see the Cardinals lose a game, and then they went, okay, we know what we need to do. They brought in Von. Like, there is a future Hall of Famer on each level of that defense. That's insane. That Rams team looks good now.
I'm going to tell you this right now. This is going to bite the Rams in the ass. Oh, giving up all these picks.
Really? The picks. But they're winning now.
I understand. They're not going to win. I'm telling you that right now. I'll make that statement right now. I don't think they're going to win. And I think this is going to set them back because all these older players, they don't get healthier when time goes. They're just wait and see.
Who's going to win it then?
Who's going to win it?
Yeah, if you don't, or do you think that they'll come out of the NFC? Do you think they'll represent the NFC in the Super Bowl, or do you think it'll be someone else?
So I picked Seattle. Didn't I pick Seattle or something early in the beginning of the year, which was totally wrong.
You in Seattle, man.
But I think the Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC.
Okay.
and I just feel that they're just going to get better and better as the year goes on. So that's who I think. NFC wise, I think the Cardinals still have an edge over the Rams. They beat the Rams already. They put the blueprint out there.
Right.
I still think the Cardinals are better. And I'm not going to pick Dallas because I hate Dallas, and we all hate Dallas. So I'm not going to go there.
Forget about Tampa Bay.
You're looking at a Tampa Bay team with a shorter offseason that really is struggling. Again, there is a blueprint on how to beat the team. As we, again, talking about the trade deadline, talking about some of the moves that the Eagles have made, talking about the rest of their schedule. I mean, and Mike, I hear what you're saying as far as, well, they're not getting enough credit for beating the Lions or an NFL team. Look, I'm still gonna say that the Eagles are not a team that I can pick right now in any game, because they beat the Falcons. The Falcons are awful. They beat the Panthers. The Panthers are awful. What's that?
I'll take them when they play the Jets.
But I won't, because the Jets just beat the Bengals.
I mean, Mike White might be the next Kurt Warner, man. I mean,
Tom Brady,
Western Kentucky, former Dallas draft pick, Mike White.
Was he drafted by
Johnny? I feel like you felt left out, that you didn't get to share all of your college knowledge
Okay.
during our first segment.
We can do a show of that. We can that's in due time. But my feeling.
I had an idea for a show during the off season. I'm gonna play the host, and we'll do a college. Where did they play, or some sort of statistic about NFL players, like a Jeopardy game.
Have my hand like this. So
yes, you do.
All right. Thanks for breaking the news there. We could have held it off a little bit long, but that's okay.
I'm just on the fly making it up.
My feeling, though, with this game on Sunday was, how many times in the last couple of years had the Eagles played down to the competition?
Always.
And
it's not just the Eagles; it's the entire Philadelphia It's the entire Philadelphia sports programs.
Sunday.
That is true.
That is very true. Sunday, they did not do that.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
So, and we've talked about, we want an easy, fun win. We haven't had that in so long, and that was fun. It was so fun.
That was so much fun.
And they ran the ball. They didn't put it in the hands of Jalen Hurts. They didn't make him throw the ball 40 times.
Smart.
Use, like what they said early in the year, what Nick Sirianni said about building the offense around his players' strengths. Jalen Hurts' strength isn't throwing the ball. So
it's not. It's not.
And I think they can exploit the Chargers big time with the run game. The Chargers are bad against the run. And if you're
terrible against run.
If you're able to do a little bit what you did on Sunday, I think it's going to help you. Now, I don't know what's going on with Asante Samuel Jr. I know he's still in concussion protocol, and their other starting corner, Michael Davis, I think he has a hamstring or a knee, something along the lines of that, as an injury as well. So right there, their secondary is a little bit beat up as well. But I just think the Eagles can run the ball. The Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, I know Kenny Gainwell didn't really play all that much. It was just kind of the matchup aspect, I'm guessing. But I feel like, yeah.
I think it was more than that. I think they also realized that Gainwell's more of a receiving back, and when they started moving away from the passing game, there just wasn't a spot for him on the field.
But don't be surprised if you see Gainwell in the slot lined up with depending on the injury situation, with Jalen Reagor and.
I was going to bring that up next.
The other guy that sits on the
bench. Don't even say it.
I'm not saying his name. The blocking wide receiver. How about that?
Yeah, we'll say this.
Blocking wide receiver.
In regards to Gainwell, I did see one run. It was between the tackles, and he popped a couple guys, and those legs kept going. And for his small stature, he just did not go down. So I'll give him credit. I mean, you're an NFL back, you should be doing that. But
oh yeah, no doubt. But the other thing, I didn't look deep into it. I wanted to, was when Driscoll went out and Nate Herbig came in. Now Herbig's a bigger body than Driscoll.
Yes, he is.
How the run game performed after Herbig came in.
He looked like he handled himself pretty well in there.
Herbig also played the entirety of last season. Driscoll was in and out. He got moved around all over the place. Herbig played guard the entire season. because Brooks was out the entire season.
Yeah.
Except for the game that we had to deal with Jamone Brown.
But
Ugh.
oh man, here we go with that. But
No.
the
I'm
Chargers,
just saying.
the Chargers offense is a little bit scary because you still have Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Jared Cook is still a decent tight end, and then you have Austin Eckler out of the backfield. And they still have a plethora of weapons on that offensive side of the ball.
Jalen Guyton. He was an undrafted guy, but he can get behind the defense, man.
I like Josh Palmer too.
Josh Palmer out of Tennessee. I love Josh Palmer
So
a lot.
The thing is, they have weapons, but I think if the Eagles can do in terms of the pressure, on that, like what Gavino said, on the right side with Storm Norton and Michael Schofield, if you're able to get pressure and cause a little bit of uneasiness in the pocket with Justin Herbert, especially with the hand, like we don't know with the hand, that is something to monitor. I don't think he's going to sit out. He will play, but again, if it's a little bit colder, if it's in the 50s, the 40s, a little bit of wind, it's colder, it may affect them a little bit. But again, I think I want to see an aggressive defense. The aggressive style of defense needs to be shown every week. And then the offense side of the ball, run the ball, play action, because then it makes the RPOs much more effective against the Chargers.
It's a run pass option, which means you actually have to establish the run in order for anybody to buy that there's an option that you're going to run it.
I don't know how hard that is to understand, but it may be a little bit tough.
So it's two different questions here. So first off, were you surprised that the Eagles didn't make really any? They made a move at the trade deadline. Sure. Why are we just stocking up corners at this point?
Stocking up a bunch of young guys. Hey, if you have out of these 4 or 5 guys, these young guys that they've gotten over the past year, if 1 or 2 of them turn out to be a solid player, to me, it's a win.
Agreed. And we're not giving up much for them.
No.
But that was the move. So they didn't make any moves at the trade deadline. Do they see that? Are they starting to change? Okay, so we just beat the hell out of the Lions. Are they seeing this as a win now season? Or do they have the pieces there and they're just, again, look, they just got rid of Eric Wilson so that they can get a better gauge on some of our young linebackers. Singleton snaps have been going down. I mean, are they trying to get a gauge on some of these younger players?
I think so. But I think they're I don't want to say they're okay with losing, because obviously you're not okay with losing, but I'm sure that the front office and the coaching staff knows that they're not making a Super Bowl run this year.
Right.
And I think some of these guys would have gotten moved if Howie would have gotten a good deal. Like, I'm sure that teams were calling about Fletcher Cox. I'm sure somebody called about Hargrave, maybe some other guys here and there, maybe, an offensive backup lineman or Dillard, something like that. But he is not going to just give these guys away just for the sake of trading them away. So that's what I think. I think that there was the potential for more, but
yeah, because you also have to look at that with Cox, the dead cap hit and everything. You're not going to get rid of him for a fifth-round pick.
We can't have another dead cap hit on that level.
So,
league leaders.
Exactly. But again, they're not seeing this as a Super Bowl season, but they're seeing it as if they can improve every week and get better. And then you look at the rest of the schedule. If they can beat the Chargers, then you look at the rest of the schedule. It is obtainable that they could possibly sneak in with that last wild card seed. If you look at the other teams that are in the hunt,
it's my nightmare.
No. But I'm just saying, realistically, look at all the other teams that are in that: the Falcons, the Panthers, the Vikings. You have some of these teams. It's just like if the Eagles win this week, and then you look at the rest of the schedule, yeah, it's a possibility, but it also is a possibility that they don't. So to me, it's all about getting better. We've mentioned that multiple times. It's about progressing. It's about seeing what players you have for the future, seeing if TJ Edwards or Davion Taylor can be, a quality player. Not that they're going to be an all-pro. And Mike and I had this conversation. It's pretty funny because everyone expects every single player to be an all-pro.
For sure.
They need to fit their roles, like a Marcus Epps, like a Kayvon Wallace, like a Davion Taylor, T.J. Edwards, these Hassan Ridgeway, these guys have to fill their roles. They fill their roles, they can be successful. The team can be successful. And I think a lot of fans, they look past that and expect every single first-round draft pick, every single second-round draft pick need to be all-star or Pro Bowlers and all pros, and it just doesn't happen. It's unrealistic. So, and the other thing that may be unrealistic is Jalen Hurts being a franchise quarterback. Unfortunately, you don't know right now. So,
I do.
Yeah, some people think they know already, but I'm just saying, like there's so much unrealistic people.
Jalen Hurts has not. So again, what I've been saying for the past couple of weeks is he's a great leader. He is a great athlete. He's a subpar quarterback.
And it was just said on this show, throwing the football is not his strong point. Your quarterback, his main weakness is throwing the football. It's why there was so much push to get a guy like Deshaun Watson to Miami, because Tua's main weakness is throwing the ball. Exactly. And how can you realistically build a team around that? Give me a guy that could sit back there and pick you apart from the pocket. I do think that this offense, scheme-wise, is good enough. Devontae Smith can get open. Quez Watkins can get open. Do you remember the Dallas game? I know you try to forget that game. But Quez Watkins had a pass where he was looking back for it. He jumped up and caught the ball behind the defender. If that ball would have been placed properly, he would have been looking over his shoulder and catching it in stride. When you have a player that has to contort himself like that and do that, and now you're up in the air in a weird position, that to me tells me that you're going to be more likely to get injured on a play like that. So Jalen Hurts is not throwing guys open. He's underthrowing guys routinely.
How many touchdowns has just talk about Quez Watkins? How many touchdowns has Quez Watkins not gotten on these deep throws simply because Jalen Hurts doesn't have the arm strength to hit him in stride?
And we're talking. Everyone's saying that it's mechanics, and it can be corrected. And I agree to a certain point. However, a good, strong arm can compensate for poor mechanics. You've seen Aaron Rodgers not set his feet, but he can just go back there. Patrick Mahomes, they could just whip it.
Don't even give me the Patrick Mahomes because he's looking like trash right now.
Okay, but I'm just
mechanics.
He has the arm strength. Okay, then Matthew Stafford. How's that sound? Matthew Stafford could sit back there, and the dude could sling it with the best of them. And you know what? You want to go back? Aaron Brooks could throw it 60 yards from his knees. Just saying. So,
Tell me how many championships Matthew Stafford and Aaron Brooks have won.
Matthew Stafford's going to win one this season.
He might win an NFC championship, and that counts.
He might win an NFC championship.
Nevada. Or Kenny Pickett from Pitt.
Yeah. All right, so it's time to get into some picks. So I'm dropping this.
It's time for the Eureka-Locks of the week. Who's your lock?
So
Halloween's over, Johnny. We're gonna have to re-record that, and not in a creepy stalker voice. I'm just saying.
Who's your lock?
I like that still. I think it's still good. We hit. It's okay.
So it's okay.
So last week, our locks, Dave Burkett had Derrick Henry 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and he's out for the season.
Wait. Can we pause for a second, Mike? Can we talk about fantasy impact with that right there?
Yeah, so that's a big one, and this was one of the first years that I actively acquired Derrick Henry in a lot of spots. As of right now, it is Jeremy McNichols' backfield. He's their next man up. There's actually a couple of he's actually a really good receiving back too. Adrian Peterson was signed as well. I think McNichols
he won't play this week.
The guy. He's
Jeremy
not
McNichols. I think he was Boise State, right? You can look that up.
I don't mother of God, off the top of my head. But AP is he's there for depth. But
he's there for depth, and what was the phrase we used by Chase Daniel to be a mentor, to be a voice?
He's like the worst mentor in the world.
The worst.
So yeah, that's big though. I mean, that's huge for them. And can we also talk about how just real quick, other NFL news? Kevin Stefanski saying that OBJ is essentially not on the team right now after OBJ's dad released that video of Baker Mayfield not throwing him. Like these athletes need to get their families in check. That would be like
between Patrick Mahomes, between all that, like these families are. It's the LeVar Ball.
That's like if Johnny's wife goes to his work and starts trash talking his boss. You know what I mean? Like what? What? Just be like, stay away. You'll get free tickets. Shut your mouth. Cheer. Here's some money. Let me do my thing.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
not a good situation. Mike, you had Cleveland beating Pittsburgh 31-17. Well, we know that did not happen. Pittsburgh won 15-10.
That was a horrible game.
First.
It was.
I'll go to mine because I'll leave Chips last because Chips was by far the worst lock.
Let's go.
So mine was Josh Allen, 300 yards and 4 touchdowns and a win. Unfortunately, he had 249 and 2 touchdowns in a win, so lost on that one. And then Chip had Cincinnati winning by 25 against the Jets.
That did not happen, friends.
Yeah, that did not happen.
I should have jettisoned that pick. That's what I should have done.
Yeah.
Freaking Mike White.
So, and then if we look at last week in terms of our picks, Chip had a bad week, but him and Jeff were 9-6, so they rounded out that. Chip still leads 84-38. I was 8-7, and JB was 7-8. So I'm second, 81-41. JB and Jeff are tied at 77-45. So,
and I'm just saying, if we include a different person in there, they are both tied for 4th, because my wife is at 79 and something, whatever it is, but she's got 79 wins on the season, so she would technically be in third
place. Okay.
Which, and looking at all of our records, she won the week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no doubt. She had the best 11-4, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so she by far beat us all this week.
Which is great. It makes me feel really good about I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's another subject.
Hey.
But now we have to go with our predictions for the game.
That's right, because it's a home game, so therefore we will not be live.
Well, we have to do our locks, but do we want to do the locks last or do we want to do the predictions last? How do we want to do it?
Let's go locks and then picks.
Okay. So I'll go you, Mike. What is your lock of the week?
Can't bet against them. Mike Davis takes down the Colts on Thursday night.
Shut your face.
You want that to happen. You want Carson Wentz to play every snap on offense and defense. So we just hit that 75.
That's not wrong.
I do want to see corner Carson.
That would be ugly, man.
That'd be terrible.
It would be.
That'd be awful.
Box safety Carson Wentz.
Chip, what do you got for the lock of the week?
I mean, it's tough because I was going to go and I was going to be all over this Packers-Chief game because it is such a historic level game, but losing Aaron Rodgers, it loses some of its luster and shine for me. I'm going to go into the Ravens-Vikings game, and I'm going to say that the Vikings are held to under 17 points.
17 points.
I like that.
That's a good one.
Look at what this Ravens team did to the Chargers that we're facing this week. Held them to 6.
And the Ravens are coming off of a bye.
Yeah, and we could say the Chargers have by far and away a better offense than the Vikings do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand. It's just that team. You want to talk about a team that's just mired in mediocrity. When are they going to fire Mike Zimmer?
Well, it's not even Zimmer. It's the quarterback. Kirk Cousins ain't it.
Yeah. They paid him so much money, too.
To be a mediocre quarterback.
And Kellen Mond isn't it either.
Nah.
Yeah.
So, under 17 for the Vikings. That's a lot of purple. It's a lot of purple in that game, friends.
Oh, that is. That's going to be gross.
All right. So,
Johnny, what's your pick of the week?
I thought about this when I was going to go the Eagles game, but then I thought, I don't want to do that because we're already picking a game prediction because I don't want to be double wrong. So I'm going to go with the Steelers-Bears game.
Okay.
And I'm going to go the Steelers defense are going to have 4 sacks and 2 interceptions on Justin Fields in a win over the Bears.
I could see it for sure.
Do you want to make a sub pick of whether or not Peters plays the whole game?
Peters will go down at least twice.
Will he get up either of those times?
That is to be determined.
I love how we're beating on an old man, but everyone else does. So,
In all fairness, that old man could beat us up still. So.
I would not say any of these words to his face, and please nobody deliver this to his inbox because he gonna find you.
Jason, I didn't say anything. It was these two guys.
Yep, 100%. JPP, you're my man. You're my boy, Blue. Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid pick, and we'll have to get Jeff's from the interwebs. Julio, real quick in the comments over here, he asked, "How do we feel about having a Week 14 bye?" I think for me personally, we're in a constant state of injury, so it doesn't really matter to me. We're already going to have guys well on the injured reserve. It's not going to be like we have a situation where we're going to be playing for a playoff spot. We're not. So I'm just.
Well, you never know.
Yes, you do.
I'm going to keep saying that until it's
this team should not be playing for a playoff spot.
That's what happens when the NFL adds a 7th playoff team in each conference. This is what you get. So, pitch to the NFL. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, Julio, I would have preferred to have the bye like right around now, or a week or two earlier, a week or two later. For a young team,
14's pretty late.
14's just really late.
Yeah.
I just feel like with the young quarterback, young coaching staff, an earlier bye would have really helped out. But then again, the mini bye after the Tampa game didn't really do anything either. So
right, exactly.
But plus, I need a week off from this team sometimes too. So I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I concur. All right, so let's pick this game. Again, we are picking a game. We are picking a score. This is in lieu of a live show because we're not doing that for home games. And then we'll be on for a post-game show to break down these picks. So, Johnny, we'll start with you on this one.
So looking at this game, the Chargers defense gives up a lot of rushing yards. The Eagles can exploit them that way. Of course, the defense has to be, up to snub against Justin Herbert-led Chargers. But I think the Eagles run the ball. I think they do what they've been doing the last 2 weeks. Now, unfortunately, the Raiders game, they didn't sustain it because of the Miles Sanders, but I think they run the ball against the Chargers. I think they have success against the Chargers. I'm going to go Eagles 21-20. Same score I did last week. I'm just going to keep rolling with that.
Mikhail?
That was interesting. I feel like Nick Sirianni is a good coach when everything goes his way, and he still is figuring out how to adjust when it doesn't. Johnny mentioned Miles Sanders getting hurt. I feel like really threw a wrench in it. Has to be able to adjust better on the fly. I'm not predicting anything's going to go wrong. Just kind of one of my thoughts on planting the seed of how I feel about Nick Sirianni there. Nothing? Planting the seed?
No, we got it. We didn't want to cultivate your gardening.
Cultivate. Who better to do that than a gardener? But I am still picking the Chargers 27-24. I do feel like this loss will be more competitive throughout instead of 2 good drives, 2.5 quarters of you could just go upstairs and take a nap, and then the last half of the fourth quarter we're competitive again. I just feel like we're finally hitting our stride. And here's the thing, I'm not saying I want to lose. I'm okay with seeing an L in that column if the team's getting better.
If it's a hard-fought L.
Yeah, give me that. I was thinking about it today on the way home. What does the city of Philadelphia want more than wins? We want good defense, a good running game. Give us that. Give us smart football. Give us competitive football. And at the end of the day, we'll be happy. We'll still find something to bitch about. Don't worry. Yeah,
well, that's why we're podcasters. We have microphones, and you don't, so you will listen to every word we have to say. I kind of went over this when I was making my predictions with my wife. So here's what it comes down to for me. Yes, the Eagles have 3 wins on the season against 3 really bad teams, including one that doesn't belong in the NFL. I would love the Eagles to win this game, and I hope that they do. I am kind of reverting back to I'm picking against them until they do something to say to me that they can beat NFL caliber teams. The Chargers are an NFL caliber team. I do think that the Chargers win this game. I'm going to say 27-21. I think that offensively they have too many weapons on all the different levels. So it's not that they just have a good running back and they're going to do that. It's not that they just have a good wide receiver or wide receivers and they're going to do that. It's not that they just have a good tight end. It's that they have all three of those things, and they also have a good quarterback. To me, I think that the Chargers will be able to win this game.
I agree.
And with that, friends, anything else you want to add for the good of the order?
No, just hopefully get some competitive, fun football on Sunday.
Yes, indeed. So the rundown for the rest of the week, my friends, is as follows. We had our All About the Birds weekly report tonight. That's every single Wednesday night. Thursday is Across the Pitch, which is our Philadelphia Union soccer show. Friday night is Birds, Beers, and BS, our YouTube exclusive show with Jeff and Peanut and Blow Up Party Dave or whatever it is. Partied All Dave. I don't know. It's just
Partied All Dave.
Yeah, Partied All Dave. Barrera's Buckets will drop at some point. I'm not sure when that drops. Sunday, there'll be a post game after the game. Monday, there'll be a Chips and Dish episode. Hopefully, this week it kind of got away from me, so it didn't. Although I might move the picking of the games to Wednesday Wednesday before we do this. I kind of like that time. My wife was still awake enough to be coherent. And then Tuesday is Burning Bridges with Jeremy Bridges. As always, you are liking, you are sharing, you are subscribing to All About the Birds and AAT Sports Network on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all of that good stuff. We have some great sponsors. We're going to shout them out real quick. So we are sponsored by wonderful, wonderful sponsors, including Statement Games, a fun free twist on fantasy sports. Link is in the bio. Oddsjam.com. Use their arbitrage calculator to not lose money. There is a link in the bio. AATSportsNetwork.com/shop. Make sure you are supporting us as we continue to give you quality content on the weekly, on the reg. La Terrain Luxury Watches. Use code AATBIRDS at checkout for 10% off. And, of course, my personal favorite, just because I get to say creepy things,
Manscaped.com. Use the code AATBIRDS for 20% off and free shipping at checkout. Your balls will thank you.
I think I got that in the frame. I couldn't really see.
Chip's gonna
This
go
is their new.
Chip's gonna go lather his after the show.
Yeah, so I did an unboxing on my last show. There's a shampoo and conditioner and a body wash. They smell fantastic. So, you know one thing that always made me laugh real quick is that body wash, the French name is Gel de Douche. Yeah.
I think that was
so
Rich Kotite's nickname, too.
Gel de Douche. And, of course, funkbrewing.com, the exclusive beer of the All About the Birds and the AAT Sports Network. Funkbrewing.com. You'll be hearing more about them as we get rolling. So, Julio's laughing. I'm thinking it's probably because of the Gel de Douche. Or the Rich Kotite joke. Rich Kotite gets a lot of jokes made here.
He deserves it.
Richie Kotex.
He was a
Richie
joke.
Kotex. We don't have a new Manscaped commercial for you. We will soon, but we are going to play one of our old personal favorites. It is by Philadelphia-based band Go-Go Gadget. They redid the Eagles fight song a couple years ago, combined it with No One Likes Us, but we effing care, so we're going to play that on the way out. As always, I am Chip. That is Mike. That is Johnny, and as we end every show here on the All About the Birds Network, or AAT Birds and AAT Sports Network, we end with a very positive and happy
Go Birds!
Go Birds!